Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Welcome, everyone, to City Alpha 3, the Nerd Party's dedicated Star Trek podcast. I'm Philip Gilfus, joined as always by my co-hosts, Darren Moser and Daniel Prue, to talk all things Star Trek. Actually,
we're not going to cover everything in one episode.
Oh.
This 800-hour episode begins now as we cover all things Star Trek. All things.
I need to underpromise and overdeliver. Sorry, I forgot. It's the first rule of paper company, right, Daniel? Any Star Trek activities in the past week when you've been...
Yeah, just besides just doing our homework for this week, which was a nice little dip. Friend of the network, Norman Lau, has been doing a Voyager watch through, and that's been really fun, as I don't think he really ever caught much besides a couple of episodes in the first season, so this is really his first time. And he's a big Niner. You know, I think he did a DS9 podcast for a while, and I think we might have even had him on here for once or twice. But it's really fun. He got to the episode, the 37s, where they land the ship. And he's like, they land the ship? And it's just so fun to see someone who loves Trek experience Trek in a new way. And I sent him the little video of the Aero Shuttle test footage. I said, not only does a ship land, but technically it had a giant shuttle built into it that they never used. But anyway, I sent him that. I'm like, this doesn't spoil anything. It's just something that was there and they never used.
Which some might say is Voyager's thing.
That's true. That's true.
But Darren, inquiring minds want to know, how is your Battlestar rewatch?
It's been going good. I have...
How the frack is it going?
It's fracking amazing. So I have 2 episodes left in the first season, but it was a short season. It was only 13 episodes, so I have episodes 12 and 13 left.
Not 26?
Yeah, no, surprise. I think the other seasons are longer. I don't know. I have to, because it's like 70-something total.
You know, Battlestar, and I could be wrong, but to me, Battlestar was the first series to do the cash grab DVD of part... You know, it was like season 3.1, yeah. And then season 3.5.
They had the half season.
I distinctly remember them being the first ones I noticed to do that.
And I don't know if that was as cash grabby as it was like the way it came out was kind of sporadic. Like, you look at again, I have to, dig into it, but I'm pretty sure if you look at like the number of years it ran versus how many episodes and seasons it had, it doesn't match up. So, yeah, I'm just looking, season 2 is a full 20 episodes. I'm guessing they either didn't get a full order, and then 21 episodes for season 3, and then 22. So they kept adding episodes for season 4. So I don't know if they got like a partial season order, or if it was kind of like you have, because I know there's a gap between when the miniseries came out and when the show came out, because the miniseries was basically like the super pilot, like season 1 of Star Trek Picard. So. But no, it's been good. It's been really good so far. It's interesting just because the characters are so dynamic and they get put in these positions all the time where they have to make these choices of like, okay, well, what do I do when the terrorist wants to run for office, or, just, and it's just interesting. And it was, I don't know, it made me look at Picard and kind of be like, I don't feel anything for any of these characters in that same way. Like, they aren't really... It doesn't feel like any of them have to make difficult choices. It maybe not in the same way. I mean, I know the characters have to make choices, but it's just the writing is very different. So I'm interested to kind of... Not that I'm directly comparing them. It's just the most recent Trek versus... But anyway, it's been very good, and I'm looking forward to continuing. Hope it doesn't get canceled after 4 seasons. Just kidding. I know it does, but
well, I remember watching it at the time, and I'm not saying it's not good, but like anytime they went back to Caprica, I'm like, ugh. Can we get back to the ship?
Yeah.
And I was glad when, spoiler alert, they finally.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're going to coealesce eventually. And so you both have watched the series, both of you. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I know some people have said that they feel like the fourth season wasn't as good or whatever, and the third season finale was amazing, and I'm looking forward to getting there. But I'm fine. I mean, even if the fourth season isn't as amazing as the other three, I'll still enjoy it. So should be.
You say that, but no, I'm kidding. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I mean,
it sounds like it went in a direction that people weren't expecting, and that had a lot of people,
including the producers.
Yeah, and that had a lot of people upset. But no, it's been good, and it's just a lot of stuff I want to watch right now, which it's hard to kind of prioritize because I've rediscovered that SG1 is still on. It fluctuates, but right now it's on Amazon Prime, and I'm like, oh, that'd be nice to watch again, and I just other things. There's lots to watch, but not enough time. But it's all right. I think I'm fine sticking with BSG for the time being. Got to add the Star franchises. Got the word Star in it.
Yeah, I was thinking of trying to watch Firefly again with my wife Jessica because she fell asleep the first time. But it's not on. I mean, technically it's on Prime, but I'm not paying for something when I'm already paying for Prime.
Right.
So it's not on Netflix. It's not on Prime. It's not on Disney Plus. Not the reason it should be, but I checked anyway. It's not on anything. So. But, well, Daniel, what are you watching that's not Star Trek?
I actually did watch some Star Trek. I watched the first half of Broken Bow last night.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't even know why. I think I was on Netflix and Enterprise showed up, and I'm like, you know what? I'll watch some Enterprise. That'd be fun.
You know what? It has been a long time, so.
Yeah.
And so I did. And like I said, I think I only got there maybe a little more than half. I got to the part where they get to whatever planet that is that they go to. And it's good.
City Alpha.
Yeah, no. It's good. I love Broken Bow. I think it's a great series premiere, and it's probably my favorite still, even to this day. And it's just fun because it feels like a movie, and it's like really good at like introducing all these characters and concepts and stuff. And then of course, then I start thinking, man, I really wish they did the whole let's do the first season on Earth thing. That would have been awesome. Like build up to the launch and stuff. They didn't do that obviously, but it's still good.
I mean,
it would have been interesting if more things didn't work. Like I know, like they didn't have phasers,
right?
Or, but like if more things that it was so so soon, premature the launch that they kept having problems. Like they couldn't get the warp engine to go to warp 5 for a couple episodes or something.
I did learn a new fact though that Travis Mayweather he's born in space. I don't know if you guys know this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
that's I'll have to look that up on memory.
Has the same kind of tonal vibe as Sulu when he's like San Francisco. I was born there. It's like yes, sure, great. Yeah, it's it's interesting. I think again, high off of my Battlestar Galactica watch. I think it would have been interesting if they had done the miniseries route, if we had done a 2 or 3 part, 2 hour each, miniseries to kick off Enterprise and imagine 6 hours and have that be the at Earth. Like they don't launch until the end of that. So, cause I know people talk about the first season's, building the ship or getting it ready and they don't launch, but I'm still not 100% sure that's the best idea. I think maybe something in the middle where you have like a 6-hour miniseries and then they launch and then you have the rest of the season and maybe it's like a slightly shorter season or something. But I think that would have given you, because at the end of the day, if you're really developing into those characters during that pilot, that's what you have to do. You have to really cement them. But
yeah, I think the interesting thing, we can critique Enterprise all day long, but I think this is sort of an outside the actual you saw. It started off the game with like Starfleet's fully formed. We didn't have the Federation, of course, that was supposed to be the whole point of the series, but it's like Starfleet's fixed, and like it would have been interesting to see kind of the building blocks. What
was Starfleet before the War 5 program? Like, and these shuttles, are they a formidable craft? Like, what did you have?
Or to see like not the awkwardness, but the sort of baby baby steps of Starfleet still forming. Obviously they would have had their ships, but because just obviously we're building the Federation, but like I said in your miniseries, just to be like, build that, what this is, because it's kind of like, I mean, different comparisons, but like with Battlestar, they have that 9/11, and they have to couple together what this new world is, or, new way of living is. Whereas, with Enterprise, you'd have that mini ship. What does this mean to be Starfleet? Like, okay, at the end, we're like, all right, we think we know what our mission is. We got the ship. Let's do it.
Well, and it's also interesting how, because it's like, what is Starfleet? What is their goal? And, there's no, like you said, there's no Federation, so it's not.
Did the Vulcans help with their graphic design? Because I feel like the Vulcans...
Well, or they could have laid into, what they kind of did a lot in the first season of the whole, the Vulcans are holding us back, or they're not, helping us as much, and, it's taking forever to get this Warp 5 engine going. Like, lean into that more, because I think it was always an interesting dynamic that they played with. But I'm glad you enjoyed watching part of Broken Bow.
Yeah,
Daniel. It's always a good one.
Well, Enterprise is not the only thing we're going to be talking about. Actually, our topic this is another quarantine episode, time of quarantine. And, we can either, Star Trek, I think, serves two purposes during this time, either escapism, or maybe try to address it, and certainly not trying to make light of it, because obviously people are getting sick and dying, and that's certainly nothing to make light of. But Star Trek has certainly approached illnesses and viruses and what that means to the crews when that happens. So I just picked two different episodes that involved crew members main characters sort of getting terminal or, contagious illnesses and see kind of how it compares of how the two series treated it. So I picked sort of from the grab bag. From Star Trek, the original series, I picked For the World is Hollow, and I Have Touched the Sky, when Dr. McCoy gets his terminal illness self-diagnosis. And then from Star Trek Voyager, the episode Resolutions, when Captain Janeway and Chakotay have a contagious disease, which I guess is not terminal, but contagious or something. They can't leave the planet, is what is found. So anyway, so let's go from there. So let's kind of stick to TOS for a moment. Darren, what'd you think of Dr. McCoy's terminal illness?
His terminal illness that lasted one episode. Yeah, no, it was an interesting, choice, and the episode was very fast. Like, I mean, it's like, boom,
it was.
I'm terminal illness, and Christine Chapel is crying. Boom, I'm falling in love with this, woman, and I'm gonna marry her and stay on her planet forever. It's like, oh, okay, like that was like a day, and a couple hours later, maybe. But
when you got it, you got it.
And then boom, answer found with the Febroni sequence people. But no, it was good. It was nice to see. I guess like a McCoy episode, really. Like if you think about it, like it was a little different back then. Like everything was around the trio, and it still is. But this one, really had McCoy making decisions. It made me think a lot about Star Trek V, which I know, is not what you expected me to say, but no, but in like Star Trek V, where he has the memory of his father dying and him pulling the plug and then them finding a cure, a week later. And it, just as so far as that was another McCoy moment where he dealt with death and dealt with, an incurable disease. Maybe that would have been an interesting callback if they had in Star Trek V, where he's like, dang it, Dad, like, we just need to find a civilization that has advanced technology that we could totally cure you in an hour, It's like it happened to me. But no, it was fun though, and it's always fun to go back to TOS with just how simple it can be. This just, okay, we got outside of a planet shot for 10 seconds, and here's a hallway. We obviously put our money into the altar room, and we're good. Like, this episode done. Just take it away.
The stunny shocks stuff. That's where all the for that.
Special oh no.
There. And also, I just want to point out, because sometimes we get some season 3 smack talk. This is a season.
It is
3
season
episode.
3, but it wasn't bad.
It's sort of the season. As a season 1 TNG defender, I will also defend season 3 of the original series. There's some good stuff there. I'm not saying everything, but there's good stuff there. Yeah. So as you said, not only is it a McCoy episode. It's a McCoy
Yeah.
romance episode, and so like I feel like this did not happen, but I feel like there was that moment in the episode that should have been where like this Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, they all get zapped. They go to get captured. They wake up, and the head woman there is like, "Hey, what's up, McCoy?" There's not the part where Kirk's like pointing at himself. Are you sure? You know what I mean?
I mean, he did call it out though to
Spock?
McCoy. He's like, "Well, obviously she likes you, Doctor," and I don't. Who knows why? But
this isn't usually how it works. I guess we'll go look for stuff, and then you.
Well, and I know
DeForest
Kelly was obviously older than the other two actors, but not by that much. Like,
I was gonna say, this isn't Carl Urban McCoy. So
yeah,
it doesn't quite fit as well, but yeah.
And we didn't get a "dang it, Jim, I'm a blank, not a blank," in this one. Or a simple country doctor, It's
Yeah, I was thinking about this when you were just mentioning, Philip, about it being season 3. I don't know where this usually stands, like among fandom, but I have a soft spot for this episode, and I think partly is because I love the title a lot.
Daniel doesn't realize we're in an asteroid, Philip. We're gonna
And
have to tell him.
I love the asteroid ship. It's cool, man. I really think it's neat. So
it has to be longest title, right?
I would think so.
Ever in the franchise?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how to look that up, but I would think.
I don't know. I think Discovery has some really long Latin ones.
I would say the only people that could possibly compete, just off the top of my head, would either be a DS9 or Discovery. Those are the only ones who I know are offenders for long episode title.
This episode it's on Memory Alpha. This episode has the longest title of any Star Trek series. So.
Huzzah! And Memory Alpha doesn't lie.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Is it? I almost want to do a count because magic to make the sanest man go mad, or the butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry. Those are pretty long.
By letter, or is it by word?
I don't know.
It depends. What is the teacher grading for this assignment? Does it have to be in Times New Roman or Courier New? Can I?
Yeah, was it?
if I do it 12.5, will I notice?
Was it word count or was it page length? That's the question. So.
They can't tell the margins. 0.5 that mother. So, I mean, and obviously the answer is obviously we know the answer, but how do you think this episode deals with, like, McCoy might not come back, guys, Because, I mean, both of these episodes deal with no, guys, they're really sick. They're gone now. Because when I watched For the World, that is how I put it in my notes, For the World is ...
FTW.
I felt like not the episode's fault. Not the episode's fault. I did fall asleep a little bit during it. That's because I'm old. But like, I felt like, did I miss the part? Because I felt like, so McCoy says he's going to stay on the planet, which is sudden, as you say, Darren. But whatever. You're terminal. A nice lady likes you. That's what happens. So, but I felt like it was a very small time, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Darren, between Kirk and Spock leaving and the ship leaving, and them coming back.
Yeah, it's
like there wasn't that room to breathe of like, no, this is real.
Yeah, you have like a moment where it's like, you have like a moment where the Starfleet's all like, oh yeah, we're taking over this investigation. It's like, da-da. It's like, nope, actually, just kidding. McCoy's calling us on our space phone. We're gonna go back and save it. It's very quick.
I think the thing about these episodes is playing with that. How does this affect people? Because at the beginning of the episode, it's very quick. Kirk's in his logs like, I've already notified Starfleet that we need a replacement or something. But like, he technically has a year to live.
Although he gets really sick really fast. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really go into how this disease works. Because I almost felt like maybe it's like, he's sick, but, he's regular until he just falls over a year from now. But as you say, Darren, like, he doesn't come back from the stun very quickly.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Wouldn't it have been cool? Sorry, and I know this is TOS is what it is, But wouldn't it have been cool if they had a replacement doctor that arrived? Like, just
and aren't they on the frontier? Like, where are they gonna get it one?
Yeah, you ask. That's all you can do. You can ask. Starfleet, we need a new doctor, but whatever. We tried. Nurse Chapel.
I was gonna say, can't you promote Nurse Chapel? That would make the most sense to me.
Well, like to doctor. Yeah, it's not a
nurse could be just a rank.
I mean, yeah, it's true.
All right.
She adds 2 Red Crosses to
So I've done my comparison analysis for the butcher's knife cares not for the lamb's cry versus For the World is hollow and I've touched the sky. For the World's hollow does beat out. It has 11 words versus the 9 words of Butcher. It has they both actually have 40 characters even. excluding spaces, but For the World has 50 including spaces. So it's like it's barely longer, but it is longer. Yeah.
And does it get a point, or does it take away a point for the fact that the title actually gets said during the episode?
That's
twice?
True. Although,
I feel like that would be 2 shots.
Do they? I think they do say it for Butcher. I can't remember.
Do they? Okay, maybe.
Who knows? But I guess we have to fact check Memory Alpha every once in a while. We can't just blindly believe it.
That's right. One thing I did. I mean, it's just because I scoffed a little bit because of whatever. It's like McCoy has a year to live. Coincidentally, this asteroid will take a year to get to his destination. I'm like,
well, we got to blow it up now. I mean, that's basically if everything was really fast. He's like, but he's actually going to die now, and he's actually going to blow up the asteroid today. Like, yeah, they tried to. Now, okay, question, Philip. At the end of the episode, is the planet that they're going to, which was named after me? Was it Darren 4?
The one they were going to crash into?
Mosarius?
No,
Mosarius? Darren 5.
Yeah, Darren 5. So was that planet where they actually were trying to go to?
No,
because they made it sound like they adjusted their course and then they'll arrive there soon within a year. And I'm like, so it does sound like they're actually going there. I was confused.
Yeah, because they actually don't say where they're going.
They don't.
It's sort of the promised land. Yeah, wherever that is. It's probably, and then I feel like you could actively be like, oh, that was Darren 5.
They spelled Darren wrong, so I mean, it's obviously not me. But
5 spelled correctly?
With a V, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that was an interesting way of both raising the stakes and lowering at the same time.
Like if it was maybe in a week or something, that would be interesting. But it's like, no, a year. It's like, that's a long time.
It was like 3 billion lives. You're like, oh man, that's really bad. In a year, so we got time.
So what you're saying is there's a chance we're going to be able to pull this out.
Yeah, because it reminds me of the Paradise Syndrome, if I'm remembering the name of that episode
correctly.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Where it's sort of almost the same story, to be honest, except it's Kirk. But where it's like the asteroid's going to crash into the planet.
Yeah, I'm reading a note here that the Paradise Syndrome, which aired 5 weeks prior, in both episodes, the Enterprise has to alter the trajectory of an asteroid head towards a populated M-class planet, and discovers a displaced culture with a love for peculiar obelisks. And one of the series regulars gets married to the culture's high priestess. It's really, really similar to the Paradise Syndrome. It's so similar they reused effect shots of the asteroid from the Paradise Syndrome as a stand-in for the asteroid in Yonada. Okay, come on, Star Trek, come on, like.
So we're going to the asteroid crashing to the planet that's really a computer.
This is like when they make, what was it, Thunderball and like Never Say Never Again, and it's basically like the same
Deep
movie.
Impact and
Deep Impact. Ants and Bugs Life. It's all the same.
ER, Chicago Hope.
There is actually an interesting little factoid I found out. Apparently, in one of the novels, Dr. McCoy's Mirror Universe counterpart died from this disease.
Oh, that's a nice deep dive.
That's a good little touch, yeah.
If you're gonna kill him, might as well kill him for something that we expected. Yeah,
fans love the canon because I believe Paradise Syndrome. Not to go on a tangent, I think that's technically the longest episode of TOS, in as much as in world time. Because I think instead of a year, that asteroid's going to take like a month, and so like the Enterprise is just going at impulse the whole month, that whole episode, until it's like now it's going to crash. So that's sort of an interesting thing to me. But yeah, so I guess sort of, attacking the thesis here, what'd you guys think of how they handled giving McCoy a terminal illness overall for this episode?
I mean, what can you do? I mean, you don't really think, you kind of expect everything to end up wrapped up in a bow by the end of the episode, and surprise, there's no new medical officer, everything goes back the way it was before.
That's true. It's and I think the definition of a bile episode. Like, nothing's changed.
Well, to, I guess, compare without talking about it yet, McCoy accepts it, but subconsciously doesn't. So what do I mean by that? He marries the girl. Well, I don't know if does he actually marry.
He does. He takes the mark of obedience. I mean, that's marriage right there, right?
When's the divorce, though? So
Jared, what do you
say?
say?
He's divorced twice, then? Or is he still married to her?
He's not one of the people, so
long distance. But also, so you're saying that he commits, but at the same time, he never gets out of his uniform. You know,
it's true.
Start wearing what everyone else wears. So I feel like he's holding on to something.
I also was kind of misremembering it when I started the episode, where the one which I think is Spock's brain, where they don't remember, like they don't know how to run anything. Like they know they're on a ship or whatever, but they don't know how to build or do anything. They just listen to the Oracle. It's the same thing. Basically, the Oracle tells them what to do. So there's lots of reoccurring themes, I guess, in TOS is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, because I just watched. I mean, this is. We talk about going to the well too often. Computer running planet, destroy computer.
Right. Computer's wrong.
Episodes.
Yeah, I mean, you could have like a supercut that's like Paradise Syndrome. This episode, the one where they like have to go into the death machines because the computers are having the war.
Because the one I just watched. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. It's actually...
Just call it like the Obelisk trilogy or something like that.
But it's the one with like Landru and You're Not of the Body.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember the name of the episode. But anyway, we're on my rewatch. But that's actually a weird episode because almost everything about it is 80% it's a fine episode. But me not saying the title is obviously not going to help you remember the episode. But anyway, the one with Landru. And anyway, but there's the beginning where they're like on the planet, which is this, the Western that was filming next door at the studio that they're on. But like they have like the Go Crazy Purge Hour, like the festival. But like that it's never explained why they do that.
The Return of the Archons.
Yes, the Return of the Archons. There you go. So like I can get later in the episode, everyone's under control because of the computer and the computers of God and whatever. But I don't know why there's like rape and pillage hour. Like, I mean, that's never explained why that happened.
Just because,
anyway.
Philip, obviously.
I guess.
Hey, just a quick question on this. Did you just happen? Is this the point where you're at in your TOS rewatch?
No. I'm still in season 1 because there's like 58 episodes per season in the 60s. So
you're still struggling. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. It's a happy chore.
For sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to maybe a more widely known episode, and one that certainly has spun its a fair amount of fanfic, and that is Star Trek Voyager's Resolutions.
Which is ironic, since there is no resolution to the resolution.
Right.
But
yes, my wife had a lot to say about this episode.
And it's season 2, right? It's pretty early on.
Yeah. And it's pretty, I don't know, Daniel, I know we'll always go to eat a Voyager because we always think you hate it. But, for as much as Voyager gets kicked around, there's a lot going on in this episode, I think. It's written by Jerry Taylor, if I'm correct. And, I mean, I have all the characters just doing stuff, which, I mean, I know it sounds... But, I mean, like, as far as, like, not just doing stuff, but having reactions and perspectives. And because, like, I'm not going to go through the whole episode, but, like, you have Janeway and Chakotay. They have different perspectives about their predicament. Then you have Tuvok. Then you have Kim with his perspective. And then you have, all of them dealing with all that. I mean, you have a monkey. The monkey has a perspective.
And it was weird. Anyway. Like, they really didn't want to name the planet. Like, they never give it a name. It's always the planet.
Yeah, they did. It's new.
No.
The
well, yes, I know that. But I mean, like, they don't give it some sort of, like, astronomical name. It's always, like, back to the planet we left them on. And... remember the planet that's the second from the right. It's like you could give it a name,
copyright
like
infringement.
Give it some sort of prefix, but it was just weird, kind of that they.
Even when talking to I forget her name. When talking to the doctor's Vidian friend, they're like the one that's around the red
Dinara
dwarf,
Pell.
the third planet from the sun, the one with 7 planets.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
oh, okay. Yeah, it felt. I mean, okay, that part. I like the callback of the Doctor. Like, that's a nice continuity thing. But it was also like, oh, yeah, we totally know that planet. We totally have a cure. Great. You didn't even have to work on it. It was already done, so...
I can just beam it over if you just want the cure. But anyway. All right, so let's get into it. As I said, Daniel, you're our Voyager expert. What do you think, focusing on Janeway and Chakotay? That's what it's really about.
And bathtubs.
What do you think of their...
Yeah, I mean...
Bathtub's a central part of this plot.
Yeah, it's mentioned about 58 times, so...
It's a fine episode. I mean, it's a lighthearted kind of ish. I guess like the moment to moment interactions are lighthearted, although it's I guess you
it's a
could
character
construe
piece.
It is a character piece, and it's one of those things where this isn't just Voyager. Of course, we talk about it in TOS, but any presumably any sort of series where you watch this and the biggest leads are going to be left behind. Like that's not going to happen. So you know from
it's
the
the
outset,
Adam and Eve syndrome.
Yeah, you know from the outset that
By the way,
the premise is bogus.
Left Behind and Adam and Eve Syndrome would have been better titles. Either one of those in resolutions. But anyway,
Adam, Eve, and a monkey. I don't know. Yeah. So it's funny, but I mean, other than like
he was the serpent.
Sure, yeah, that's right. I'm sure we'll talk about whether or not you believed it or whatever. But it's like this is not going to just. It's not going to just end. Like we're not going to actually leave them behind. So I guess
if Voyager had guts, it would have, but no.
I know. What series would have had two storylines on a ship versus the planet where they're stranded? I don't know.
Yeah,
who would have gone there?
Well, although again, I know people. I don't know if people hate on this episode. I don't feel like it's a bad episode. It's got some good dialogue
Judging
too.
by the fanfic, they don't hate it.
Well, like I love the Chakotay's like, so do you want gray on the outside or beige on the outside? Like, it's just I'm just picturing them like assembling the prefab house, and it's just so funny to think about. Or the fact that like they don't. Obviously, we know they beam up the rest of the stuff, but like literally the last shot is them like beaming up, and then they're back on the ship. It's like. Did someone else beam up the stuff, or did you just leave it?
I thought that was an odd effect. I thought like everything was going to get beamed, not
right,
the house,
but they took the time to pile it,
the cargo,
and then they just.
I thought the whole thing was going to get beamed up at one time. The people in the cargo.
It's like
was
two to beam up
first,
and one
second.
pile of cargo. You forgot to mention that, Chuckles.
That's true. She only did say two to beam up.
I mean, again, I just assumed that
cargo.
they would, and I feel like they didn't need to hold our hand with that, but it was just kind of funny that. They did. Yeah. We didn't see it.
I mean, Chakotay put all the trouble of putting it back in the containers and piling it up.
Well, they didn't disassemble the house, though. It was just all the stuff.
I know, but all the stuff. You see him like putting it up.
And I'm like, why aren't they taking back the house? Like, it's Voyager. There's just the ship. There's no resupply vessel to bring you your other prefab house that I'm sure you had to spend replicator energy to make.
They had to make room for all the extra shuttles and torpedoes that they're going to get next week.
Well, we fired a couple of torpedoes this episode, guys. We're running low on those.
It's also like weird. It's weird that like they try to construe this situation where we have to leave two people on a planet with pretty bare provisions, and you're like, I don't know. I just don't buy it. Like I feel like the Voyager would have stuck around for a little while at least. It just feels like they're just quick to be like. Well, they
do a lot of talking. Like, yes, it's been months, and we've exhausted. You didn't see it, but we exhausted every option.
Yeah,
it was sort of they let the exposition do a lot of build up. Well, because I did like how it sort of starts in the middle of it. It's not like they get the disease,
True.
Though in some ways it does lose a little because I don't feel like I needed like 3 more sentences because like I didn't. You had to sort of figure it out yourself. There was an away team of just Janeway and Chakotay on the planet for some reason. They got bit by the insects, both of them. They beamed. You never kind of get like the how it actually happened. Like I got an insect bit them, but both of them, and they were. Why were we at the?
Why
planet?
were they even on the planet?
Were we trying?
Like, it's
and so, I mean it's a nice planet. Don't get me wrong.
It reminds me of a couple other episodes. Like, you have is it Joined, the one with Picard and Crusher with the thing on the back of their neck? Then there's a few others. Like again, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but it's happened before. Where you have the planet that we can't replicate the whatever off of, so we have to, work there. Or, I think there's like an Enterprise episode where they kind of devolve, or there's, another radiation.
We talked about that episode.
Yeah, or the one where Geordi turns into a thing. You know what I'm talking about? Where he turns into like the one that can disappear.
The name of it.
Identity Crisis.
Yeah, that's right. I like that episode.
Oh, by the way, attached is
it's
what you're
CSI hologram edition, where they use the hologram to figure out the shadow.
Because I thought the interesting thing, and again, the disease only. I mean, not to.
And they don't have the disease. They're not sick. It's just.
Well, they have it. It's just they have to be. Well, they can't leave the planet.
If they leave the planet, then then the disease could relapse or something like that.
And they have to be quarantined, it seemed like.
I will say I like if we're talking about the character piece of it, I like Janeway's sciencing all the time on the planet. That's
Doesn't
awesome.
give up.
That's great stuff. And I like Chakotay.
Chakotay is Bob
Yeah,
Vila.
being all handy.
Hi, everyone.
references.
Today we're
I wasn't
going
going to say Bob Vila. I would have said
Norm Abram.
Nope.
That's what I would have said.
No,
Tim the
but,
Toolman.
but his buddy.
Al Borland.
And Al Borland. I would have given him the Al Borland.
Wow, that's harsh.
mean,
Chakotay gets
second-
Al Borland.
He's second in command. He might as well just throw some flat.
That's right, and he's doing all the work. Hello.
But I like his attitude, and I like him, being all handy and doing all the stuff.
Oh, he's handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, let's dive into it, because I think what this episode obviously is doing, that if you're quarantined or you're isolated, and then the two perspectives of Chakotay just being like, this is our life now.
He hasn't given up, but he's also not willing to put his life on hold for a year.
And I like how with Janeway, other episodes of Voyager or any Star Trek could have made her perspective sharper, of no, we're going to get cured, you're stupid, Chakotay. But hers a little bit more I hear what you're saying, and maybe I'll get there, but I'm not there
which
yet.
totally makes sense.
That was a little more, because she was, like you said, sciencing the science, and he was tubbing.
Well, he was hoping to tub the tub, but that was later on. So.
If you know what I mean. And it was interesting to sort of see, literally, put her hair down. But, I mean, I don't know. Chakotay still seems the same Chakotay that he usually is. Which, again,
he's got his Kuchimoya legends, even though now we know they're all fake. Well, I guess technically they're not all fake, but that one was...
Maybe some of them. Just every time he tells a story...
Make it easier to say Chakotay?
Just say I'm fired. Anyway. But with Catherine, we get Catherine instead of Captain. She sort of sets the tone early on. But we do have, who's the real Janeway? Captain Janeway, when she has a crew and even a first officer. But here it's just, we're two buds, or whatever.
Yeah.
And how you see her differently, telling a little bit more about her background and gardening and all the outside stuff she usually hates, and it's just interesting to get to know.
And they jump into the relationship kind of fast. It's not really I never considered a relationship. It's more finally the barriers to our relationship are gone. That's where they jump in.
Darren, quarantine does crazy stuff. You wouldn't
start
know.
talking to monkeys and it's I don't know.
Well, and we can talk. Well, I guess let's go ahead and talk about it. So the romance or the
holding
sexual
hands,
tension, whatever you want to call it. If I can skip to the end. So my wife Jessica was watching with me, and at the end she's like, this was kind of a full-on episode. It was really good, but so that Catherine. This was, I'll say her opinion, because she's not here. She was saying that Catherine had near the end when she sits down with Chakotay after their awkward whatever. She's like, all right, we need to talk. And so she's like, okay, so Catherine obviously wants to have a discussion to see what's going on. But then when they get back to the ship,
right,
she's not as communicative. Right. To even address that the situation has changed.
I forget, do they ever address it in a later episode?
That was her thing. She's like, oh, they must address this later. I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah.
That's why there's so many mountains of fanfic.
I know. As a sort of complaint. Because I think... to drill down a little bit more, Janeway and Chakotay, to me, is the most, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, contentious captain-first officer relationship. Not that they're always arguing by any means, but in the extreme examples, like the ones I always think of, whether it's Scorpion or Equinox, where it's like, you're relieved, Chakotay. I don't need to be argued about this, Chakotay. But whereas here, obviously it's more of a close relationship. I mean, they're very involved with each other, either one way or the other. So I don't know. It's an interesting relationship between these two.
Well, I mean, I don't have an opinion either way. I would say that as someone who doesn't care if Janeway and Chakotay ever got together, I'm less interested in the will they won't they. I would have rather them, instead of writing the middle line basically like a dogma, the whole series, I would have rather them picked a side and gone down it and saw where it went. Would you have wanted to have seen it, or would you have wanted to have not have seen it at all, or are you more in the middle like me? I get the reasons why they didn't, because
I remember reading things, in the 90s where, they're like, yeah, well, we don't. Oh, it's the first female captain, and of course she has a love relationship with her first officer. Like it, they were trying to avoid that, but then I would have been like, well, don't even go there then. Like, look at Janeway's relationship with like Tuvok, where like they know each other ahead of time. They're respected friends. Like they're still in the same command structure. You could have done something like that with Chakotay. So I'm saying don't even play the line. Just have it be like there's nothing there. And I think that would have been fine. And we would have gotten, other interesting episodes where like Janeway's kind of like alien of the week. Like, obviously I have my dedication to my ship, but, I'm not sure. I'm not even going to go into the Sullivan's thing, but, we'll get to that another time. But, I think I kind of wish they'd done that. Where it'd have been like, we're just not even going to go there, but instead of this towing the line thing. But yeah, it's like, just, why don't we, by not wanting to deal with it, because again, there's so many other relationships that happen on that ship, from Tom and B'Elanna to, okay, you have Tom and B'Elanna. Tom and B'Elanna are like the, Troy and Riker, like they get back together kind of thing. Like they don't have the previous relationship, but that could be the relationship for the show. Like you don't need to dabble in something else with the captain, I don't feel. So I guess overall I just feel like they didn't really need to even go there, but they kind of did. So they and then here they're like, let's see how close to the edge we can get. And then it's just like, no, okay.
Because I'm thinking not only is this episode, the quarantine, I'm using that obviously for obvious reasons, between these two, does it create a new relationship? Because, it's not like many of us who are quarantined. You're with a family member, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, children, family members. There's not strangers, right, necessarily. I mean, I'm sure there are going to be stories that we're going to hear about, either like strangers who get romantically involved or the reverse, people who want to get divorced but are stuck together, But here it's where they're not strangers, but, you have this sort of relationship and, it can either... It's going to grow, either a deep friendship or something else. And then the larger story of Voyager, where it's the pyramid structure, where there's a captain at the top who's very isolated, is that season...
Well, I mean, there's two tops of the pyramid because you have the two seats sitting next to each other. There's no actual top of the pyramid.
It's like the sort of the South American pyramid is a little more flatter. So it's a little more isolation of who does Janeway go to? And so that captain-first officer relationship is even closer because... there's no one else, who else does the captain talk to and share things with, and so the lines... Apparently there's no other
commanders on a starship except for the commander on the ship.
Yeah. Because, who else... every captain sets his or her role and how they deal with the first officer and crew. But, no matter how their approach is, whether it's a Picard or a Cisco or whatever, when you're the only one, those lines are going to blur. When you're the only one, you can only talk to one person. I mean, you can talk to Tuvok, I guess, but that's about it. So
thinking on it, I think it would have I would have liked the dynamic more if they had played into the Starfleet versus Maquis way harder in the first season. Like if they had actually still had them, because as we've said before, basically by the third episode, it's like, nope, Starfleet crew, Starfleet life, they just never dealt with that. But I think if we had gotten that angle in the writing where it's still very much like your crew and my crew, they aren't really mixing in that regard. They work together, but the Maquis crew is still coming to me and the Starfleet crew is still coming to you. I'm loyal to you, but there's still things we have to work out. I think that would have been really interesting to add that layer onto their relationship where, okay, now we're both out of the command chain. So it's no longer my crew and your crew. It's just us. I think that would have been an interesting thing.
This was early enough, too, where you could have had a much more adversarial relationship the entire first season.
Yes.
And then this would be the episode. This would be a pivotal relationship episode for those two. And it wouldn't have to be a romantic, well, they won't they. It would have been like a coming together, like a turning point in the relationship
right.
where finally they hash it out, right? They scream in the lightning storm or whatever. You were the worst and whatever.
Right.
Plasma storm, Daniel. Yeah. We're on an alien planet.
Sorry.
Ionic plasma storm, yeah.
and they get all that out, and they could that could be the coming together of their professional relationships, and then you don't have to do the I'll make a tub for you and watch you in it. It'll be
well,
great.
and you could have also extended that to the B plot on Voyager, where what if all of the crew that wanted to go back and contact the Vidians were the Maquis crew and they didn't care about Janeway. They're like, we care about Chakotay, and we want to, we think it's totally worth it to risk the ship. But the Starfleet crew is like, no, not just Tuvok, but, they're more like, no, the captain gave us the orders. And so you still have that. And then they have to come together without, it's like, okay, your two managers leave and the rest of the group that don't necessarily get along have to get along to save both of them. They kind of find that middle ground. I think that would have been a way more interesting story. Just like you're saying, Daniel, like they kept it more antagonistic up to now, and this kind of becomes that first cement of, okay, this fine ship, this fine crew, all together. I think that would have been interesting.
So it's like Daniel, Michael leaves, and will Jim or Dwight take over?
I was just thinking, there's an episode of The Office right after Michael leaves where the temporary manager gets removed for whatever reason, and they
just power vacuum.
They just don't replace him, and there's this talking head where Jim goes, it's amazing how much work we're getting done without a manager. Like, we're all adults. We just show up to work and do our stuff, and then we go home at the end of the night. It's amazing that people are capable of doing that sort of thing. Of course, it all collapses by the end of the episode. But,
right.
It's funny.
Well, one thing about Chakotay, which is, it's the critique, but it's a critique for a reason. I think this episode does well by both of them, but him not as much. Because Janeway talks about her past, like I said, did you ever like gardening? Did you ever like camping? Did you ever like... We get zero from Chakotay about...
later we learn a lot about him camping with his dad, his people. Like, he never gives those answers now, but later we learn that.
Yeah, and this is a late season too, so I think maybe Tattoo had already happened. But anyway, there's no... As you say, guys, about his early history, this reminds me of when I left Starfleet, or why I left Starfleet, or this is something that happened in the Maquis. It's just nothing. I know how to do all these things because, Dad. That's all you get from me. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be a lot, but a story or two, because this is the time that you're supposed to be vulnerable. Because Catherine is being vulnerable, not necessarily in a negative way, but in a get to know me way. This is who I am that I don't get to do as a captain. But Chakotay, like I said, is just still flat Chakotay of
that's an interesting thought.
Normal Chakotay.
Like, this is where they let their walls down, and you can have Chakotay be like, I don't want to. He's like, I don't want to take the ship from you, Catherine. Like, I don't want to be the captain. Like, my cause is in the Alpha Quadrant. My people, it's just us surviving out here. And he makes it. He's like, but we're not Starfleet. We left that life behind, and we can't just step back into that piece that was missing when we came aboard. And then, she can reveal, some of her misgivings and, having she feel like I'm the only one who has to keep the morale going, and I can't falter from that for a moment that we're going to make it home where us all is lost. And he's like, no, you don't need to be the only one, to hold that burden. And think of all that, which is relational, but more in the how we work together way and not in the romantic way. But it could develop so much more in these two characters as they let their guard down really for the first time as equals. You can
have a whole thing where Chakotay is like I've been trying to work with you, and you have been just blocking me and stopping me at every turn. And she's been holding this grudge, and this could be the episode that finally lets that loose. Because, like you say, Darren,
yeah,
she could just be mad about the whole Maquis thing, and Chakotay's like, I don't even think about that anymore.
Right,
60,000 light years away. I'm here trying to help you get home. We're all trying to do the same thing now. You need to let it go, or whatever. Because
also, if they're stuck there for life, how does that change what they want or how they define themselves? Cause,
that's true.
Catherine, she's a scientist, so. And again, I know her part of this episode is accepting that they are stuck there, and she's still searching for the cure. But I like, the plasma storm kind of negates that, and she has to deal with that, which I think is done well. But how does she define herself post plasma storm, other than
I'm not a captain, I'm not a scientist. What
is she? She can still be a scientist, but is that what she's going to be now? Survey the planet, which is fine. But for Chakotay, as you say, his Maquis cause, like, what does it mean to him that he'll never get to see and never contribute to that cause anymore? And so now how does he define himself other than Bob Vila?
Well, and again, looking at what we got out of, and I mean, this is Voyager, so this is all post DS9, but like, imagine if this was a 3-episode arc where they get straight.
Well, this is during DS9.
No, but I mean, like, we've experienced that type of longer format story from Star Trek. So imagine if they get stranded on episode 1, episode 2 is really just all about the Vidians, and we don't even see them, and then episode 3 is them. So you stretch it out, like, make it feel like it's been like a month or two on the planet at least. You know, it was just so fast for the one episode.
Yeah, I think I could have gotten more from the planet and the ship stuff. Not that it wasn't interesting, but it does take a lot of time, and so like this could have been maybe a 2-parter, but 3 if you really want to do it Enterprise style.
But if you're spending, spend more time with the crew, and it's not the crew versus Tuvok, but like I said, it's the Maquis versus the Starfleet that's still there. So you have, I guess it would be B'Elanna would be the lead of the Maquis side, and then Tuvok would be the representation of the senior Maquis, and then Tuvok would be senior Starfleet. What did you? I was curious. Philip, with your, enjoying, Kes, like, what did you think of her role in this as the kind of the mediator, peacemaker line?
I liked it, but it was random as hell.
It was kind
sort
of
like, we need a Guinan. Do we have a Guinan? I don't know.
Well, as much as Neelix's role of like, I'm just going to tell you, leaving them behind is going to be bad for Brown. No, duh, Neelix, like, thanks. I couldn't have figured that out on my own.
I mean, it was just very, like, we only got a scene to figure this thing out with Tuvok. Because also Kes goes in like, I want to tell you about my father. And I'm like, apropos, like, because it almost argues at the end of that scene with Tuvok, she's like, oh, the crew wants to hear from you. So then you have to think, what happened before she walked into that ready room? So, like, she's there on the bridge, or, like, Ensign Kim's like, all right, guys, enough of this shit.
And then no, Kim, let me talk to him first. Like, wow, how did that conversation go down?
Who should be our spokesman? Well, not Kim. That's not been working out. Tom, he's like, I'm not doing it. B'Elanna, I'll just throw something. I don't know. Who do we got left? Everyone loves Kes, right? Everyone loves Kes.
Because Tuvok's not wrong at all. He's just...
And I like, exploring that, because I think it's to me funny. I wrote down Tuvok as captain, and my subheading is mutiny. Yeah. It just sort of reminds me of like Galileo 7. Like, everyone hates Spock as captain. Right. Fine as first officer, hate him as captain. Tuvok, he's good at tactical, but no one wants him to be captain. I think, Daniel, do you just think Vulcans are just discriminated against as captains?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that in Star Trek. Every time we see a Vulcan captain, it's kind of the worst. Even, I'm trying to think of Enterprise.
Yeah, the DS9.
The DS9, definitely. I'm trying to think of when T'Pol was in command in Enterprise.
Same thing, where she was really rational, and they're like, no, we got to go back for the captain. He's like, well, I mean, no, we don't.
It never turns out well.
Yeah.
Trip would hold her hand.
Well, and what'd you think of, like, the very end, where you get, like, the battle, and you get Tuvok's moment, where he's like, okay, we're going to make a checklist, and we're going to do it in that order, and it's going to save our skins. And they're like, boom, 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 boom. To me, which wasn't bad. It was just fun.
No, it wasn't bad, but to me it was odd in a way in how it was written. Because they tried to have it both ways, and I feel like you could have just cut it one way or the other. Because he says, like, I have a plan. And then, like, what you could do is just have the ship do the thing, and then they're like, and you just see what he does, and you're like, oh, that was audacious.
Which is what people normally do.
What he does is, he says, I have a plan, and like either there's a scene change or commercial break, and it comes back like he's like, and here's the plan. I'm like, okay, I mean, and then he explains the plan, and then they do the plan.
Yeah,
and like, it could have saved
I was a little bummed where, like, they lower the shields, beam it, and raise the shields. It takes like forever, and they don't get hit once during that entire.
I know, I love.
And I'm like,
they build this up as
it was really.
You can't lower the shields. Lower the shields.
Like, I would have loved if they had done, I don't know, just it wasn't a bad plan.
A torpedo hits, something gets blown up, rocks come down, shields back up.
Or what if they had done the antimatter thing first, and then, like, I don't know.
Darren, you can't do the antimatter thing first. I mean, come on now. you gotta at least have a closing show.
Yeah. Anyway.
I wish, just to answer this point, I wish that they would have. This would have been a really good moment to show Tuvok as a supremely confident and able captain. There's no reason why you Why not? Why not have him?
Except for Janeway, he's got the most. He is the senior, super trained officer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 100 years of experience.
That's true.
You don't have to get to this part where, oh my God, is it going to be mutiny?
I remember back when we did this awesome maneuver on the Excelsior.
The Excelsior. Oh God, he's telling the Excelsior story again. Because I'm also not committing, and I know now that I read more stuff, you got to have wardrobe and blah blah. But again, not committing, in TOS when McCoy's still wearing his uniform. Okay, he's obviously not leaving. This one, Tuvok in red, wearing Captain Pips. Well, I mean, that would have been this is happening, guys. It's Captain
There's
Tuvok.
Also the episode where where Tuvok goes against her orders and they get the super slingshot stuff, but it won't work outside the and she rips him a new one. And this one she's like, it's okay, it worked out. I mean, they were towards oh dang, I looked at my space watch and we have 2 minutes left in this episode. We better just let it go.
Because I just think about how everyone was right. Except luckily they weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't wrong because, you have Kim and I've just talked to the Vidians. It'll be cool. Everyone knows the Vidians are cool, guys, right?
And then he's remember when we destroyed one of their ships, killing 300 their... he's not wrong. And they obviously took it badly, Because
I like how Tuvok, as you say, has the right reasoning. I mean, logically, of course, but just even...
They just had to still try.
Whether he was human or not. But then it's I really want everyone to learn the lesson that, he's right. Other than your, Deus Ex Machina solving everything with magic Vidians and shields that, are work and don't work. And it's just okay. I we don't learn a lesson. We just learn, always risk it. Everyone could always die, but,
when it's
we
the
all
captain
volunteered.
And the first officer, they're going to come back. It's worth the risk at that
in
point.
season 2.
Yeah, well, so overall, Daniel, I'll give you the last one. How do you think of how they handle Chakotay and Janeway with terminal illness? Did they commit? Are you happy? Not happy.
Like I said, it's a premise that how it's going to end. There's no suspense. There's no, will they, won't they? I guess there is a will they, won't they, but that's in a different context. But there's no worry or stress or anything like that about what's going to happen. The outcome is clear from the beginning. So it feels like a wasted opportunity because nothing important happens. They stick to this middle road of, I'll make you a tub and there's a monkey, hee, and there's all that, and then nothing happens. And then literally nothing happens for the rest of the whole series about it. And so it's a wasted opportunity. Nothing is gained from this adventure. There is no sort of profound discovery of relationships. There's no amazing change of events. It's just they were on a planet.
The definition of back to interchangeable. You could watch this episode and the next one in any order, and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, because I think the three things would be Chakotay, Janeway, and whatever. It doesn't have to be will they, won't they, but just where do we go from here? And even never talking about it is a choice that has to come out at some time, whether it's one of them gets romantically involved and someone mentions some remark, or they're having their dinners at Janeway's quarters, which are, whatever, candlelit. Then you have Tuvok as commander. It has to come up, some episodes from now, the crew does not want him to be kept. And, what does that mean? Anyway. And then Kim having his little mutinous moment.
Yeah.
What does that come back for him? I mean, understandable emotional reaction, but, he doesn't usually that mouthy. I also love that it's even late season 2, or not, maybe it's early season 2, but anyway, I like how we're still using the hard pronunciation of Lieutenant Torres' first name, because throughout most of the series, we just have to get lazy, and it's B'Elanna, whereas this, we're still using the long B, so it's B-Lana.
Oh.
So it's that,
I
making
that
apostrophe work. All right. Well, Darren, how do you think of TOS versus Voyager on handling terminal illnesses? And, I mean, is there a point... Because, as Daniel says, we always know everything's no one ever dies,
right.
Really.
Yeah, I guess unless you give it to a secondary character, then they can die. But, I'd be interesting, or heck, terminal illness, Picard. I mean, we didn't even talk about that, but, that's basically the season. And of
With
course,
an unnamed illness. Well, it was named once.
I
but
mean,
it's complicated.
yeah,
we can't talk about.
We
it.
all know it's whatever that syndrome was. But yeah, again, I think back with TOS, I think they handled it better in Star Trek V with his moment with his dad. Like, I think that was actually a really powerful part of that movie. Yeah, but actually, it was really fun discussing the Voyager episode because that was a lot to unpack on really what it. Not that it was a bad episode, but just what it could have been. I think it would have been interesting.
All right. Well, Daniel, if people want to talk to you about your home tub making skills, where can they reach you on the internet?
That's awesome. They can find me on Twitter at @OneUpDan. That is the number one, not the word, as in you can find me on Tool Time. I don't know what that has to do with the number, but you can find me.
All right, Darren, and if people want to consult your oracle, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me on Twitter, Twitch, or Instagram under username Dr. Sci-Fi. DRSCIFI. Take the mark of obedience.
Before you become my Twitter follower, you must know what it is to be my Twitter enemy.
Ta-da!
And if folks want to talk to me about all things monkey, they can find me on Twitter at NCPublicServant. Well, until next week, stay safe. I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Daniel Prue.
Stranded here in quarantine on City Alpha 3.